You're listening to The Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the latest and greatest in sports as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
Welcome to another edition of the Jacob Valk Show. I am the Jacob Valk, and you're not. I like that intro. I'm going to keep using that intro. I've got to start by recapping the two Western Conference play-in games. We got two pretty good games. We had one solid game and we had one great game. The solid game was Spurs-Grizzlies. Let's be honest, that was not a great game. You can't fall down by 21 and have that be a great game. If you're going to come back and win, okay, that's a great game. But to come back and then lose, no, that's not a great game. Like, watching that game, was there ever a moment where you thought the Spurs were going to win? The answer for me is no. Look, I give the Spurs credit for coming back. They did take the lead with like 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That was impressive, but again, watching that game, did you think that was it for the Grizzlies? That Keldon Johnson 3 was the knockout blow? You knew the Grizzlies were going to come back. And they did. After that 3, the Grizzlies outscored the Spurs 19-13. Like I said, there was never a moment where I thought the Spurs were going to win this game. Never. I was down on the Spurs going into this game, and I was proven right. Give them credit for coming back, but it was too little too late. Now, the one positive thing I'll say about the Spurs is they actually got more good performances than the Grizzlies did. The standouts for the Spurs were DeJounte Murray, DeMar DeRozan, Rudy Gay, Keldon Johnson, and Jakob Poeltl. The Grizzlies had 3 good performances. Jonas Valanciunas, who was more than good, he was great. 23 points and 23 rebounds. Dylan Brooks, who really took over in the fourth quarter, and Ja Morant, who did a good job conducting the Grizzlies' offense. I mean, no disrespect to DeJounte Murray and Rudy Gay. They had great performances. Rudy Gay, 20 points off the bench. That's really impressive. And DeJounte Murray did get a triple-double, although that really wasn't the most impressive triple-double I've ever seen. 10 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists. He shot 4 for 17 from the field. That's under 25%. He was good yesterday, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't great. At the end of the day, what that game proved is that the Spurs never should have been here. The Grizzlies were the better team. I mean, the Grizzlies did let the Spurs back into it. They're a young team. That is something that young teams do. They tend to not have that killer instinct. The Grizzlies shot just 32% from beyond the arc. They missed 11 of their 24 free throws. If they had gone up against a good team, they probably would have lost. The thing is, though, the Spurs aren't a good team. They haven't been a good team all year. Don't let the final score fool you. This was not a great game. It was a solid win for the Grizzlies. They're going to have their work cut out for them against the Warriors, though. I don't know how confident you can be in the Grizzlies after watching that performance yesterday. Truth be told, I wasn't overly impressed with either team in the Spurs-Grizzlies game. But I was impressed with the Warriors and the Lakers. That was a great game. That was a back-and-forth affair. You've got the Warriors up by 13 at the half. But you know what? With LeBron and AD on the other side, you knew that this game wasn't over. The Lakers took over in the second half. And that's what title winners do. I feel like we forget this. The Lakers won the NBA title last year. And they had to play in a play-in game to secure their playoff berth. That's what happens when LeBron and AD miss extended periods of time. Now, there was a key moment in this game. A moment that was more important than any other. And it wasn't the LeBron 3. I'll get into that in a minute. No, the big moment was the 14-2 run that the Lakers went on to open up the third quarter. That got the Lakers right back into this game from down 13 to down 1. Dennis Schroeder took over. He had 7 points in that run. Now look, the Warriors went on a big run after that. They went on a 15-4 run. But if the Lakers didn't go on that 14-2 run, that 15-4 run would have been the death blow. The Lakers wouldn't have been able to come back from that. The Warriors would have won, and they would have been the 7th seed. Yes, the Lakers ended the quarter with a 17-7 run, but the fact that the Lakers were able to come out of the locker room playing like bats out of hell really impressed me. That got them back into this game. With Steph Curry on the other team, he's capable of shooting you out of a game. If you blinked, you might have missed 2 threes from Curry. I mean, Curry was really good in this game. He got off to a bad start. He only had 5 points in the first quarter. Didn't attempt a shot in the first 4 minutes. He didn't make a shot in the first 7 minutes. That was bad, but then Curry turned it on, and he ended up with 37 points. He was the high man. Andrew Wiggins had 21 points. What did I tell you? He was going to need to step up if the Warriors were going to have a chance to win this game. I was right. He did step up, and the Warriors had a chance to win this game. But LeBron James happened. After getting poked in the eye by Draymond Green on something that very easily could have been a flagrant foul. I mean, let's be honest, that was borderline. Instead of going straight up like you're supposed to, Draymond went almost diagonally right into LeBron's face. He ended up poking him in the eye. That was close to being a flagrant. That was very, very close. Did Draymond mean to poke LeBron in the eye? I don't know. Look, Draymond and LeBron have a history. We all know it. And Draymond has a history of poking players in the eye. He did it to James Harden a lot. I mean, I'm not the biggest Draymond fan, but I don't think I'm willing to slam my fist on the table and say he definitively meant to poke LeBron James in the eye. That's a flagrant 2 and Draymond should be suspended for the rest of the playoffs. No, I'm not going to say that. It was borderline flagrant, though. I don't think there's a question about that. But the game came down to this. A minute left in the game. A broken play. LeBron from 34 feet out. And with triple vision. Somehow hits a 3 with Steph Curry's hand in his face. You literally cannot play that possession any better if you're the Golden State Warriors. You just have to tip your cap to greatness. No time left on the shot clock. Tie game. I have the opportunity to put my team ahead by 3. Yeah, I'm going to hoist this up, and it's going to go in. Talk about LeBron putting his team on his back and wiping out what otherwise would have been a dismal performance. LeBron and AD were terrible in the first half. They were just 3 for 19 from the field. They were absolutely atrocious. But when it's winning time, the greats bubble up to the top. And Anthony Davis finished with a double-double, 25 points and 12 rebounds. And LeBron finished with a triple-double, 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists. And one of the biggest shots of the season so far. Is it one of the greatest shots in NBA history? No. It's not as good as the Kyrie 3. It's not as good as the Kawhi shot against the Sixers. It's not as good as Jordan over Elo or Jordan over Russell. But it's a huge shot. There's no question about that. Like, this is what drives me nuts, okay? This is the issue with sports talk right now. You've got someone like Skip Bayless, who I really don't like. I really have very little respect for him. He's just a troll. That's all he is. He's a troll. And he's been given this huge megaphone for his trolling. He hates LeBron. He will never give him credit. If LeBron James were to cure cancer, Skip Bayless would have an issue with it. Okay, let's be honest. That's the truth. You've got Skip tweeting this at 12:42 in the morning. Lucky desperate 3 by LeBron with the pressure off at the end of the shot clock. He's at his best when there's no driver launch decision. He can just heave and hope. If he misses, no expectation, no fault. It's a quote-unquote impossible shot. Besides, he quote-unquote was seeing 3 rims. I don't know where to start. A lucky, desperate 3? With the pressure off? What game were you watching? I mean, look, you've got to be good to be lucky. Okay, part of luck is skill. Let's be honest. I mean, look, you can make the argument that everything that happens in sports is luck. If you want to use the luck argument, let's take it to its logical conclusion. Every time a baseball player swings a bat or throws a pitch, there's an element of luck there. Is that pitch going to be hit 500 feet? Or is it going to be a swing and a miss? This hanging curveball that I threw, is it going to be belted out of the park? Or is it going to be fouled away? In hockey, is this shot that I'm taking going to miss the net, or is it going to go in? In football, if I'm throwing a deep ball with my wide receiver going up against a cornerback and it's one-on-one, I'm lobbing it up, I'm telling my wide receiver to make a play. That's luck. The wide receiver can either make a play or it can be intercepted. The quarterback has no say over that at that point. In basketball, every shot that's taken, there's an element of luck. Luck is a part of sports, but the fact that these athletes are so skilled negates part of the luck. The pressure was off? Are you kidding me? Less than a minute left in the game. It's tied. God only knows what's going to happen if he misses that shot. That was a pressure-packed shot. You're right that it wasn't 5 seconds left in the game, down by 2. But it was less than a minute left and the game was tied. That's a pressure-packed shot. If he misses, no expectation, no fault? No, Skip. That's just dead wrong. If he had missed that shot, you would have been killing him. I promise you, especially if the Warriors had won. Especially on if the next possession, Steph Curry hit a 3. You would have been killing LeBron James. How do you miss that shot? You've got to make that. That's what you're being paid for. You're the best player in the game, blah, blah, blah. No, Skip. That's exactly what you would have been saying. How can we tell people to not pay attention to trolls when the biggest troll of all, Skip Bayless, is given a national sports talk show on Fox Sports 1? Look, I give him credit. He's had a great career, a career that anyone would kill for. But there used to be a time where a guy like that wouldn't see the light of day. He'd be stuck writing for newspapers. He'd never get a job on ESPN or Fox Sports 1. Is Skip doing his job by trolling to the point where we need to talk about it? Yes, I'm feeding into him right now. I am fully understanding of that fact. That I am doing exactly what Skip Bayless wants. He doesn't care whether I agree or disagree with him. He wants people talking about him. But what bothers me is that we've given these trolls, guys like Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, and Max Kellerman, these huge platforms that accentuate their trolling. Stephen A. Smith talking about Derek Thomas and Spencer Ware when previewing the Chiefs and saying that Dwayne Haskins is a mobile quarterback. I can make an argument that that's trolling his audience. They tune in wanting to hear intelligent sports opinions, and they get that? That's trolling in my book. Max Kellerman saying that the Liberty are the second best team in New York City behind the Nets. As much as I hate the Knicks are a million times better than the Liberty. There used to be a time when saying some of those things, you'd be forced to leave your job. That's really what you believe? You're incredibly stupid. I don't want to be any part of it. Get out of here. If you have a controversial opinion, that's fine, but you've got to be able to back it up. And there are some opinions that you just shake your head. How can someone really believe that? People doing sports talk used to be the smartest people in the room when it comes to sports. Guys like Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon and Chris Russo and Mike Francesa. incredibly smart guys. They never troll. Do they get it wrong sometimes? Of course. But what we've done as a society in evaluating sports talk is we've given more people flack for getting predictions wrong than we have people uttering these insane opinions that you know are just trying to get a reaction out of people. There's nothing wrong with a guy like Mike Francesa being wrong. There's nothing wrong with a guy like Colin Cowherd being wrong. Funhouse, I'm talking to you. These guys are human beings. No one tunes into those shows expecting them to be right 100% of the time. It's all about making clear and convincing arguments that you can back up with irrefutable facts. Instead of focusing on those guys, focus on the trolls like Bayless, Smith, and Kellerman. You want to tell me you don't want to give them oxygen? They already have oxygen. They've already been given morning talk shows on TV. They already have the megaphone. Focus on trying to get these trolls off TV. Bring sports talk back to what it once was. A haven for intelligent sports conversations. Not a mecca for trolls. Okay, really went down the rabbit hole there. It did have to do with Warriors-Lakers yesterday, though, so I don't feel too bad about that. Let me get back to the play-in tournament by previewing Pacers-Wizards. If the Pacers are going to win this game, they need to maintain that same intensity that they had on Tuesday. I don't want this team to think that just because they annihilated the Hornets on Tuesday, that they're the best team in basketball, their you-know-what doesn't stink, they can do no wrong. No, they're a good team. What they did on Tuesday was very impressive. But they played that game on Tuesday with a lot of fire, a lot of intensity, a lot of grit. Do that here against the Wizards because you know that Westbrook is going to be motivated. You know that Beal is going to be motivated. It's in D.C. The Capital One Arena will be rocking. Maintain your focus. You've got Malcolm Brogdon back. You've got Edmund Sumner back. You're a good team. Don't lose sight of what you need to do. As for the Wizards, the biggest thing for them would be to play through Bradley Beal. I'd try to get him going a lot. I don't trust Russell Westbrook in the playoffs. How can you? I feel like whatever you get from him is gravy. Bradley Beal, I've seen play well in the playoffs. I want Beal taking like 30 shots in this game. Let Davis Bertans do his thing. He's not going to have another off night. Realistically, I just want Westbrook to be a distraction. Because I can't trust him. Another big thing would be having that killer instinct. It's something that the Wizards really don't have. You gotta realize they were up 2 at halftime on Tuesday. They had the opportunity to win that game. Instead, they let Jason Tatum go off for 50. Do the Pacers have that guy who's going to go off for 50? Probably not. But if you have the opportunity to land a death blow, you've got to do it. All in all, the way that the Pacers played on Tuesday, I can't not pick them. I do think they're going to be focused. Getting Brogdon and Sumner back is huge. Granted, you didn't see Sumner a lot on Tuesday, but I think you'll see him more tonight. And I can't trust a Russell Westbrook team in the playoffs. Give me the Pacers. Alright, now I'll give you some NHL Valk talk. And I'll start with the great Capitals-Bruins game yesterday. An absolutely sensational game. I gotta say this, though. I did not think that the Bruins played that well. I thought they did a terrible job on Ovechkin. They left him wide open a lot. Mike Riley had a golden opportunity on a wraparound that TJ Oshie stoned. Garnett Hathaway sent Charlie McAvoy almost into Brian Boucher's lap. They couldn't score on a 5-on-3. Bad game for the Bruins. I mean, you saw it on the power play goal. How do you leave Alex Ovechkin that wide open on the power play? Alex Ovechkin is one of the greatest power play performers in NHL history. You need to know where he is on the power play at all times. The Bruins did not deserve to win, but they did. I mean, that's the beauty of sports. Taylor Hall with the spinorama goal. I'll say this, I really didn't appreciate Tuukka Rask throwing kidney shots at Garnett Hathaway when Charlie Coyle had him pinned to the ice. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. Some of Brad Marchand is rubbing off on Tuukka. The Capitals got another fourth-line goal. I didn't see that coming. The well will dry up at some point. I just don't know when. I mean, here's the thing. You've got this golden opportunity. If you're the Caps' first line, Nicholas Backstrom, on a nice pass from, I think it was Tom Wilson, the Bruins just blanked on the play, a miscommunication or something. And Backstrom at the post. You've got to get more production from your top line than that. I mean, the Bruins have done a good job negating the Capitals' top lines. I give them full credit. I thought Charlie Coyle had a really good game also. But that double overtime winner, that wasn't as much a good goal by the Bruins as much as it was just Ilya Samsonov forgetting how to play hockey. He stops the puck behind his net, is thinking about what to do with it. He just leaves it there. Craig Smith gets to it first. And by the time Samsonov realizes what's happened, Smith scores on the wraparound. Ovechkin was ticked off after that, let me tell you. He had every right to be. Just stay in your net if you're a goalie. Nothing drives me more nuts than when I see goalies leave their net. I understand sometimes it's necessary. I get that. And it's not like Samsonov did anything wrong by stopping the puck. But once you're in that position, you've got to know what to do with it. Samsonov just left it there for Craig Smith. Here you go. You can win the game. I'm done playing hockey. Oh, if I was a Caps fan, I'd be ticked off. Samsonov should have just fired it around the boards, get it out of the danger zone. Instead, he teed it up for Craig Smith, and it was the easiest goal he'll ever score in his life. Moving on now to Predators Hurricanes. You remember when I said that Peter Mrazek needed to start for the Hurricanes if they wanted to win this series? Hey, I was dead wrong. Alex Nedeljkovic stood on his head yesterday. He made 32 saves. The Predators had 7 power plays yesterday. You know how many goals they had? 0. You know how many goals they had in the whole game? 0. Jacob Slavin was out. He's the Hurricanes' best defenseman. The fact that the Hurricanes were able to kill all 7 of those penalties without their best defenseman on the ice is nothing short of incredible. The Islanders' power play has driven me nuts recently. I can't imagine what it would be like to be a Predators fan after watching Alex Nedeljkovic stone you on 7 power plays. That's the story from this game. And I'll do you one better. The game-winning goal, the first goal scored, was scored by Sebastian Aho on the power play. Matthias Ekholm got a tripping penalty, so Andrei Svechnikov and Dougie Hamilton set up Sebastian Aho for the power play goal. On a night that the Predators went 0 for 7 on the power play, the game-winning goal for the Hurricanes came on the power play. I don't know who the assistant coach is for the Predators that's in charge of their power play. I think it's Dan Lambert. He should be absolutely ashamed of himself. That's a Jim Heller thing. Having your power play go 0 for 7 in a playoff game. A must-win game. You don't want to go down 2-0 in a series. I don't care that you're going back to Nashville. That's a tough hole to climb out of. Moving on now to Jets-Oilers. It's nice to finally see some Canadian teams. You've got to give the Jets a ton of credit for what they did. They did an excellent job keying in on Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, keeping them both off the score sheet. The Jets' defense was excellent. McDavid and Draisaitl were both -2s. McDavid only had 2 shots. Draisaitl had 4. But for McDavid to only have 2? That's impressive. Fantastic job by the Jets' defense. It was nice to see Jesse Puljujarvi score. He spent last year out of the NHL. Came back this year, had a good year, scored 15 goals, 25 points. He started off the scoring in this game. But if your 2 best players are held off the score sheet and you only score 1 goal, you're not going to win too many games. I will say this, I did not think Mike Smith played well. The Tucker Poolman goal was absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how Smith didn't control that Blake Wheeler rebound. Give Poolman credit for crashing the net and burying home the rebound, but there never should have been a rebound. It should have been easy for Smith to smother that puck. Instead, he left a juicy rebound for Tucker Poolman, and he scored. If you had Poolman being the first goal scorer for the Jets in this series, play lotto tonight. And then the second goal, I mean, granted, that wasn't as much on Smith. That was a really nice deflection by Dominic Toninato. But still, the puck, barely went in. We had to go to video review to determine whether that really went in. I mean, it did. Give Toninato credit. That's fantastic hand-eye coordination. But for a puck to barely go in like that, that's tough. Smith only made 18 saves. He had a .900 save percentage. I was not impressed with Mike Smith. In answer to your next question, the Oilers' backup is the former Islanders great Mikko Koskinen. So Smith is going to get some leash. Moving on now to Blues Avalanche, and Jordan Binnington is human. I understand that Binnington gave up 4 goals. Okay, that's a bad look. I get that. But he made 46 saves the game before. In both of these games, he's gotten no support from his skaters. The Avalanche have a lethal power play. The 8th best power play in the league. The Blues take 2 penalties. The Avalanche score 2 power play goals. I mean, after the second Jonas Donskoy goal, the second power play goal that made it 3-0 Avalanche, you had to know that game was over. I mean, the Blues did storm back. They made it 3-2. Sammy Blais scored on a really tough angle, and Braden Shen scored on the power play. But I never really thought that the Blues were going to complete the comeback. Nate McKinnon made it 4-2. A really nice slap shot from the point. Just put the puck on net. You never know what's going to happen. Then 15 seconds later, Mike Hoffman did score. I'll give Hoffman credit. He made the game interesting. But even then, I never thought the Blues were going to come back. I thought Philip Grubauer had a really bad game. Let me tell you, Jordan Binnington has been better than Philip Grubauer in this series. It's not even close. Now, I will say this. The big story from this game is the high hit that Nazem Kadri gave Justin Valk. He's going to have an in-person hearing. There's a chance that he could be suspended for more than 5 games. I mean, that was a high hit. There's no place for that. Kadri had every opportunity to go for the body. He didn't. He went for the head. That was a classless move by Kadri. I like Kadri, but you can't do that. I mean, right after that, Justin Falk had those glassy eyes like he didn't know what state he was in. That was scary. I'd have no problem with Kadri being suspended for more than 5 games. That's a classless move by him. And it's a shame because, again, I like Kadri. But now it's time to preview tonight's 4 games. I'll start with Panthers Lightning. If the Panthers are going to win, I want them to be more physical. Game 1 of this series was incredibly physical. It looked like a boxing match. The Panthers had every opportunity to win that game. Then game 2, they took a step back from the physical play the Lightning thoroughly outplayed them. I want the Panthers to get back to the physical play. See if you can throw the Lightning for a little bit of a loop. And that's how you'll win. As for the Lightning, I want to see Tyler Johnson get more involved. I'm going to key in on him tonight. I mean, Johnson is disappointed all year. He only got 22 points in 55 games. But he's still a very good player. Very good two-way forward. He's really been quiet in these 2 games. I want to see what he can do tonight. I don't see the Panthers falling behind 3-0. The Lightning have been the better team in this series by far, but with Chris Driedger in net, the Panthers have a great shot at this. I'm going to say the Panthers win this game. I'll go with the upset. Moving on now to Penguins-Islanders. I will be at this game. Gonna be a lot of fun. The Coliseum is gonna be rocking. If the Penguins are gonna win this game, they need to score quickly. Go back to what happened in 2019. Game 1. The whole building jam-packed with Islanders fans. The Islanders got out to an early lead, and that set the tone for the whole game. The Penguins need to score early. They need to go into the first period with a lead. That'll get the crowd out of it. That's the biggest thing that the Islanders have going for them right now, because they really haven't overly impressed me in this series. They haven't been awful, but they haven't been great. The biggest reason that I'm saying that is because 3 of the best Islanders, Matthew Barzal, Jordan Eberle, and Ryan Pulock, have been invisible. Pulock was on the ice for both of the Penguins' goals on Tuesday. Matthew Barzal and Jordan Eberle haven't even sniffed the score sheet. Those 3 guys need to get cooking. Think about how the Islanders won in 2019. Ryan Pulock and Adam Pelech shut down Sidney Crosby. Pulock has been dreadful in this series. Crosby scored a goal in Game 1, Game 2, the 2 goals. You can trace back basically directly to Pulock. That's inexcusable. He's their best defenseman from a defensive standpoint. And Barzal and Eberle are probably their 2 best forwards. They've been invisible. I think Barzal only had 1 scoring opportunity in Game 1, and I can't remember an opportunity that he had in Game 2. Those guys need to step up. All 3 of them. Oliver Wahlstrom too, but he's not as important as Barzal, Eberle, and Pulock. With Varlamov in net, the Islanders have a real shot of winning this thing. I don't see any fluky goals being scored here. Maybe I'm being biased, but I'm going to go with the Islanders. I'm not going to preview Canadiens Maple Leafs because what I said on Friday still holds. We haven't seen a game in this series yet. So I'll talk about Golden Knights Wild. If the Golden Knights are going to win this game, they've got to do a better job on Cam Talbot. They've got to get more shots on net. They've got to generate more high percentage looks. Dump and chase if you have to. Have a strong forecheck. Because you can't expect Marc-Andre Fleury to steal you all these games. You gotta help him out a little bit. I'm not knocking Fleury. Fleury's been great. He's been the best goalie in these playoffs. But Talbot isn't too far behind him. The Golden Knights only had 28 shots on Tuesday. Game 1, you had some golden opportunities. You've got to go back to that. Generate those scoring chances and support Marc-Andre Fleury. The same thing basically holds for the Wild. Marc-Andre Fleury has only given up 2 goals in this whole series. The same thing, dump and chase, strong forecheck. Even something as simple as snowing him at the whistle, try to tick him off, throw him off his game. You've got to do something to get Marc-Andre Fleury off kilter. Because he's playing like 2009 Marc-Andre Fleury. The reality is, this is 36-year-old Marc-Andre Fleury, who, granted, was great this year, had a career renaissance. He won the Jennings Trophy for the first time in his career, him and Robin Lehner. So you've got to get to him, and get to him quickly. You can't expect Cam Talbot to do it all by himself. All in all, it's kind of tough to pick a winner. The over-under on this game is 5.5. Take the under. It's in Minnesota. I'll say that the Wild win. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if Vegas won. Alright, now I'll give you some MLB Valk talk. Because Corey Kluber threw the first no-hitter in Yankees history since 1999. You've got to feel so happy for Kluber, even if you're a Yankees hater. Here's a guy who, in 2019 and 2020, only started 8 games, only threw 36 2/3 innings, is now, without question, the second best starter that the Yankees have. Kluber looks like the Kluber of old, the guy who won 2 Cy Youngs, 4 18-win seasons to his name, a 20-win season to his name, the 3-time All-Star, the guy who won the ERA title in 2017. If Corey Kluber can be this Kluber all year, the Yankees' rotation that was once a big question mark is now a big strength. Now, here's the thing. And I don't want to take anything away from what Corey Kluber did, because he was dominant. He only threw 101 pitches. He struck out 9. He only walked 1 guy, that was Charlie Culberson, in the bottom of the 3rd. I mean, the game was over in less than 2.5 hours. Kluber was mowing these guys down like clockwork. I mean, the Rangers' pitching was good too. The Yankees only scored 2 runs. Tyler Wade had an RBI triple. Then DJ LeMahieu drove Wade in on the next at-bat with a sac fly. That was it. That was all the scoring in the game. I don't want to take anything away from what Kluber did, but it's May 20th. We haven't even had Memorial Day yet. And we've already seen 6 no-hitters. Hell, we had a no-hitter 2 days ago. The last time that happened, no-hitters being thrown on back-to-back days, was 1969. Jim Maloney threw a no-hitter on April 30th when he was with the Reds. He no-hit the Astros. The next day, Don Wilson of the Astros, going up against the Reds, no-hit Cincy. In the modern era, The most no-hitters that have been thrown in a season is 7. We're at 6 now. If you want to go back even further, 1884 had 8 no-hitters. We're going to have probably 10 no-hitters this year. That does kinda diminish what Kluber did a little bit. I'm sorry, it just does. It's still a special moment. Okay, it still takes skill to throw a no-hitter. You've got to get 27 outs before you allow a hit. It's incredibly challenging, but to have 6 no-hitters before Memorial Day, to have 6 no-hitters before we turn the calendar to June, is this what we want? A no-hitter should be a special thing. It's the kind of thing that should happen like once a month in a baseball season. We've had 6 in 2 months. That's absurd. In 2019, we had more home runs hit than ever before. 6,776. The reason for that was primarily because Major League Baseball changed the baseballs. Now, it seems like they've changed the baseballs again, but they've overcorrected. Major League teams are combining to hit just 236. That would be the lowest mark in baseball history. That is not what we want. We don't want another year like 1968, where Denny McLain had 31 wins. Bob Gibson had a 1.12 ERA. 7 pitchers finished with an under 2 ERA. 12 pitchers had over 200 strikeouts. 7 pitchers had at least 20 wins. I mean, come on. That's what we're gearing up for here. Maybe not to that extreme, but we're nearing another dead ball era. There's talk of moving the mound back a foot. I would try it. I mean, I think the seminal reason that we're seeing all these no-hitters and this low offensive output is that the way that these hitters are approaching these at-bats isn't conducive to getting hits. Players today are going up to bat to swing for the fences every time they're at bat. Because of that, you're either going to hit a home run or strike out. And if the ball is a millimeter outside the strike zone, you're taking it so you can get a walk. That's wrong. That's not what baseball should be. Here's the thing, okay? 3 of the best hitters of all time, Joe DiMaggio, Tony Gwynn, and Derek Jeter. Those 3 guys would not be as dominant as they were if they played in the year 2021. That is wrong. No more singles and doubles hitters. No more moving runners over. Just swing for the fences on every pitch. That's wrong. That's not what baseball should be. There needs to be a countrywide change of how we teach these hitters to play baseball. Just make contact. It's good to get a single. It's good to get a double. It's good to get a triple. I remember when it was a bad thing to strike out. Now, it's like, okay, you struck out, no big deal. The game today is worse than it was 10 to 15 years ago. That is wrong. Again, I don't want to diminish what Corey Kluber did. It's still a great accomplishment. And it did snap a pretty long drought of no-hitters that the Yankees had. Before Kluber, the closest guy to throwing a no-hitter for the Yankees was Phil Hughes, about 10 years ago. It was too long. Corey Kluber should be proud to be mentioned in the same breath as guys like Don Larson and Allie Reynolds and Dave Righetti and Jim Abbott and Dwight Gooden and David Wells and David Cohn. But it is a bad thing that there are so many no-hitters now. And I think the reason for that is that players today are swinging for the fences on every pitch. That's wrong. That needs to be changed immediately. If you want to try moving the mound back, you can. If you want to try changing the baseballs again, you can. But there is a happy medium between over 6,000 home runs being hit and there being 6 no-hitters before June. Until tomorrow, I am Jacob Valk giving you a fun fact. Archie Corbin was once traded from the Brewers to the Expos for a player to be named later. The Expos decided to make that player to be named later Archie Corbin.